Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today we're doing a True Draco deck profile. So I'm really excited for you guys because this deck is an extremely unique deck that revolves around tributing your continuous spells and traps to summon out your boss monsters, which is a very unique way for this deck to play. This deck also does not need an extra deck because of some of the tech cards we're playing in this build, which is a really amazing thing for this deck to do. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like getting your name description in a single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to our patron, along with test hands. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing a single copy of Dynamite Knight, the True Draco Fighter. This card is a great one-up for the deck because it's currently at 1 on the list. I wish we could play more copies of this card because it's hands down one of the best cards in the deck. Because it has the ability that you can tribute summon this card by tributing a continuous spell or trap that you control instead of a monster. And it also has the ability that once per turn, during either player's turn, when your opponent activates a card or effect, while you control this tribute summon monster, you can take a True Draco or True King continuous trap from your deck and either add it to your hand or activate it, which is a really awesome effect because some of our continuous traps in this deck that are True Draco and True King cards are just absolutely broken. We then play 3 copies of Ignis Heat, the True Draco Warrior. This card is a really good card as well and a definite 3 of because it has the ability that to tribute summon this card, you can tribute a continuous spell or trap instead of a monster. It also has the ability that once per turn, when your opponent activates a card or effect while you control this tribute summon monster, quick effect, you can take a True Draco or True King continuous spell card from your deck and either activate it or add it to your hand. We then play 3 copies of Majesty Maiden, the True Draco Caster. This card has the ability that you can tribute summon this card by tributing a continuous spell or trap instead of a monster, and has the ability that when this card is on your side of the field, or when your opponent activates a card or effect while you control this tribute summon monster, quick effect, you can add a True Draco or True King monster from your deck to your hand, which is a really good effect that this card basically searches any of your monsters. Where this card can search the monsters, your copy of Ignis Heat can search the spells, and your Dynamite Knight can search the traps, which is really, really good for this deck. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Terraforming because it searches one of the most powerful spell cards that's a field spell in the entire game, which is Draconic Diagram. Draconic Diagram is still at 1, so this card is just a 1-of in the deck, and has the ability that all of your True Draco and True King monsters on the field gain 300 attack and defense, and the first time each tribute summoned True Draco or True King monster would be destroyed by battle, each turn it is not destroyed. And once per turn, you can destroy one other card that you control or in your hand, and if you do, you get to add a True Draco or True King card from your deck to your hand, which is an extremely powerful effect for this card to have to get the exact card that you need. We then play a single copy of Card of Demise. Card of Demise is really good because you get to draw and so you have 3 cards in your hand, and with the amount of back row we have in this deck, we can usually set 5, activate this card, and then draw, or set 4, and then activate this card and draw 3 cards from our deck, which is really good to be able to get the exact cards that you need and get a bunch of pluses off this card. The only downside of this card is your opponent doesn't take any battle damage for the rest of the turn, or any damage at all for the rest of the turn, and you can't special summon during the turn you activate this card, but we don't special summon in this deck at all. All we do is tribute summon out our monsters, so this card basically has no downsides, which is really amazing for this card. We then play 3 copies of Pot of Duality. We also don't special summon the deck, so this card is absolutely crazy. It lets you reveal the top 3 cards of your deck and then add one of them to your hand, which is a really good effect. It does lock us out of special summoning, but we don't special summon this deck at all, so this card comes in extremely handy. We then play 3 copies of Disciple of the True Draco Phoenix. This card is a really good card to grab off of Ignis Heat because it has the ability that you can target 3 True Draco and or True King cards in your graveyard and shuffle them into the deck and then draw a card. And during your main phase, you can immediately, after discard results, tribute summon a True Draco or True King monster face up. And if this card is sent from the spell and trap card zone to the graveyard, then you can target a spell or trap on the field and destroy it, which is really good because this card is basically like a mini Pot of Avarice, an MST, and a double summon all in one, which is really, really good. We then play 3 copies of True Draco Draco Heritage. True Draco Heritage is a really good 3 of as well because it has the ability that during your main phase you can draw cards equal to the number of True Draco and True King cards that are on your side of the field by type of monster, spell, and trap that's sent from the field to the graveyard this turn. And then during your main phase, you can immediately let this card resolves, you get to tribute summon a True Draco or True King monster face up. And if this card is sent from the spell and trap card zone to the graveyard, then you can target a spell or trap on the field and destroy it. Again, really good card, lets you draw a bunch of different cards with this card, while also giving you that additional summon, and also having the ability of an MST to be able to pop a card. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to be playing some extremely powerful traps, and we play quite a few traps in this particular deck. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of True Draco Apocalypse. This card is a great 3 of that has the ability that this card is sent from the spell and trap card zone to the graveyard. You can target a monster on the field and destroy it, and you can't activate the following effects in the same chain. But you can activate both of them in the same turn, just not in the same chain. It has the ability that you can target one other True Draco or True King card you control and destroy it, and then if you do, the attack and defense of all face-up monsters your opponent controls becomes half their current attack and defense, which is really good because it helps bring your opponent's monsters down to the level of your True Draco monsters so you can attack over them. And it also has the ability that during your opponent's main phase, you can immediately this card resolves, tribute summon a True Draco or True King monster face up, and you can only use each effect of this card once per turn. We then play 3 copies of True King's Return. This card is a great 3 of as well in the deck because it's just super powerful. It has the ability, if this card is sent from the spell and trap card zone to the graveyard, you can target one monster on the field and destroy it, and you can't activate the following effects in the same chain, just like True Draco Apocalypse, but it has some really crazy effects that you get to target a True Draco or True King monster in the graveyard and special summon it in defense position, and also for the rest of the turn you can't special summon, which is not that big of a deal because it's the only card in the entire deck that actually special summons monsters, but it's really powerful to be able to use to get your monsters back since we're only playing 7 in the entire deck. It also has the ability that during your opponent's main phase, you can immediately card resolve, get a tribute summon of a True Draco monster, which is really good, and you can only activate either of these effects once per turn. You can get them both in the same turn, but not in the same chain, but you can only use each effect of it once per turn. We then play 3 copies of Skill Drain. This card is absolutely busted and is just really good in this deck because you can use its effect to be able to negate all the monsters' effects on the field, which isn't that big a deal for us because it just shuts down our searches off of our different True Draco monsters, but being able to activate this really hurts the opponent a lot more than us. So this card is a great 3 of in the deck. At just the cost of 1,000 life points, you can basically shut down the entire field of monster effects, which is super good. We then play 3 copies of Soul Drain. Soul Drain is a really awesome tech that I decided to play in this deck because with Skill Drain and Soul Drain, you just have so many ways to shut down the opponent because Soul Drain has the ability that you activate this card by paying 1,000 life points, and monsters that are banished as well as monsters in the graveyard cannot activate their effects that start a chain, which is a really powerful effect for this card to have, especially comboed with Skill Drain. You're basically going to be able to lock down everything, which is really good, and I really like these 2 cards in this particular build. We then play 3 copies of There Can Be Only One. This card is a really amazing card in this deck that has the ability that each player can only control 1 monster of each type, and if a player controls 2 monsters of the same type, they must send some to the graveyard so they control no more than 1 monster of that type. This card really hurts the opponent a lot more than it hurts us, so this card is a really good 3 of in this particular build because it basically just shuts down the board. And with cards like Skill Drain, Soul Drain, and this card on the field, you're going to have a lot of monsters that your opponent's going to have to send to the graveyard off of There Can Be Only One, and then lock down the field and graveyard with your copies of Soul Drain and Skill Drain. We then play 3 copies of the Monarchs Erupt. This card is basically 3 more copies of Skill Drain, and the reason we don't play an extra deck is because of the Monarchs Erupt, but it has the ability that you can activate this card only if you have no cards in your extra deck and control a tribute summon monster. You get to negate the effects of all face-up monsters on the field, and then while those monsters are face-up on the field, except tribute summon monsters, and then during the end phase, if you control no tribute summon monsters, you send this card to the graveyard. This card is extremely powerful in the deck to basically just shut down the field and counters 3 more copies of Skill Drain, and it's also a continuous trap, so you can tribute it to be able to summon out one of your True Draco monsters, which is really helpful for this build. We then play 3 copies of Solemn Strike. Solemn Strike is a good 3 of in this deck because it basically just shuts down your opponent from special summoning, which is really good if we haven't established our floodgates already. But this card is a fantastic card because of just the cost of 1500 life points. You can negate a special summon or a monster effect, which is really good for this deck, and it's just a really powerful trap card. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. It's a really fun deck to play around with. It's super fun. It's really interesting because you can basically play any floodgate that you want in this deck, and it's just extremely powerful to be able to play such a cool deck. And hopefully in the future we get Draconic Diagram back to 2 or 3, and Dynamite Knight would be really nice to have back at 2 or 3 for this deck. Even Masterpiece as a 1-of would be really awesome for this deck, and hopefully we can see that on the coming list. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.